So to find out, I took a trip to the Pakefield Lighthouse, which is home of the Coast Watch station. And at the top, I met up with Keith and his assistant, David. And I first asked them what it is you do.
Well, it's part of a sea safety group, which are a chain of lookouts around this part of the country. Other parts of the country have a national Coast Watch teams as well, but up the east coast here, we're part of the sea safety group. There's 6 or 7 of us, stations around the country here. We're individually controlled, and I think Frank is our senior man here that looks after us. And we're just a collection of volunteers that run it 365 days of the year if we can get the volunteers.
Yeah, okay. Now you don't have anything to do with the Coast Guard as such, really, do you?
We're not controlling anyway, no. We're a completely separate operation from the Coast Guard. All of the Coast Watch, whether it be the Sea Safety Group or National Coast Watch teams, they're all entirely independent and totally voluntary run and separately funded as well, charitably funded. So we don't use any government funding at all, and it's purely voluntary lookout. So we are here to assist the Coast Guard, but in no way are we part of the Coast Guard operation.
Yeah.
It used to be, yeah, as you say, a lighthouse, and it's still referred to as Pakefield Lighthouse. And the reason for that was because it was the original lighthouse for Lowestoft Harbour. And it was built, obviously, to guide the shipping into the harbour, but the nature of the sands off the coast here are always shifting. And it meant that soon after the lighthouse was built, the channel into Lowestoft Harbour actually changed. So as an effective lighthouse, it was then of no value because it wasn't effectively guiding the shipping in through the correct channels, which is why they had to build a new lighthouse. And so obviously it fell into misuse, or was not used, I think, for quite a number of years before Pontins actually sort of inherited the site and started to use it for other things. I think as a developing room, I think, even for the local on-site photographer in the past, so he used it as his dark room for processing films and things. But it was about 12 or 13 years ago that Pontins offered it to the Pakefield Coast Watch organisation, and that's how we started up here and converted it into the watch station that it is now.
Now obviously with something as an operation like this, you probably get influxed quite a lot by or impacted a lot by the weather. Is that true? And what sort of weather affects your ability to function?
Again, as being really purely a visible watch, a lookout, obviously things like mist, sea mist and fogs and that sort of thing, heavy rain obscures our views. So yeah, that's the biggest problem of being able to do a visible watch when the weather conditions are bad. A lovely sunny day like today, we've got visibility of 8 to 10 miles, but sometimes we just cannot see Lowestoft Harbour, for instance, and you rely then purely on the radios to get some idea of the traffic in and out of the harbour, as well as the radar set as well to pick up any sort of ship movements from that. So weather is obviously a problem for us just as much as those navigating out at sea.
So if we've seen you use this piece of equipment before, tell us what it is, please.
Okay, well, it's a very large pair of binoculars, as you can see, not the sort of thing that you'd want to handheld hold. It has to be pedestal mounted because it's got a magnification of 25 times, so it brings things closer to us by quite a considerable amount, and because of that magnification, too much to hold like an ordinary handheld pair of binoculars. So hence the pedestal, and it gives us a really good lookout. You can get some very fine detail from ships that are a considerable distance offshore.
So what sort of distance are you talking about?
Well, the visibility that we've got here to the horizon is about 10 miles as a maximum, but some of the ships that are sort of getting out towards that distance, you can still read the names of the vessels, or see smaller things that are actually, you know, maybe swimmers or canoeists that are perhaps in difficulty some distance off. The power of these binoculars means we can get a good view of them, and helps obviously enormously with our lookout.
There is one thing I'm dying to say. Can I have a go?
You're certainly more than welcome to have a look through. That's right. This is just a chart again with the vessel symbols on it, using a little wider scale so we can see further out into the North Sea. And this is an application that's readily available on the internet, where you can keep track of any particular vessel across the globe. And this is the AIS system again. The top one is a weather station that we have here, where we record the weather as well. So part of our written log is also a 4-hourly check on the weather. And again, that is reported to the Coast Guard on a watch-by-watch basis, so that we can inform them of the exact weather conditions as they are from our lookout position here. Underneath the weather station, we've got a radio which is tuned to channel zeros. That is the Coast Guard and sort of the lifeguards, lifeboats channel that we can keep in touch with what they are doing, particularly again if we're involved in any sort of incident. The other radio to its left is set onto channel 16, which is the international distress and just general calling up channel.
Coast Guard, this is TJ, over.
Exactly as you heard there, that's calling up.
TJ, this is Yarmouth Coast Guard, over.
So,
yeah, we were asked to call in by Lowestoft Harbour. Apparently there might have been some problem with the radio or something. TJ, this is Yarmouth Coast Guard, channel 67 and stand by, over. Over.
okay, so that again is what we can hear in the way of general communication ship to ship, or in the case of the Coast Guard there.
The watch station is situated approximately 3 to 4 miles south of Lowestoft at Pakefield. It is open most days throughout the year for people to come and view for a small donation. Both Keith and David will be very happy to greet you and show you around. But it's time for me to go now, and I'm going to explore the next part of our programme, the buses.